This video will show you how to get started with the ETSL for second grade. So the first thing you're going to do is open an internet browser and type in ebly.com. Once you get to the Ebly website, you're going to hover over this ETSL button and then click to ETSL Log On, which is going to take you to the logon page for the ETSL. Now you're going to get your username and your password. Either you've got it already or you're going to get it at your orientation day. So go ahead and enter your username and password. When you log in, you should get to the main home page and see your content. We're going to come back to that in a second because the first thing I want to do is show you how to change your password. So if you hover over this menu on the left here and click to My Profile, it's going to show your name, first name, last name, your email, and then your password here. If you scroll all the way to the bottom and click Edit, then you can go ahead and highlight and replace your password. You're going to have to confirm it. Once you do that, you're welcome to fill in this general information too, and then you're going to click Save. All right, so be sure and do that because we do create general passwords, so we want to make sure that you are using one that is more secure and is one of the ones you can remember. So be sure and write it down for the next time you log on. And then you're going to go to your content. So click on My Learning on that menu. And it's going to bring you to lessons, as you can see, lessons 1 through 20, and they're broken up by 5 lessons at a time. So the first thing I want to talk about is the before the lessons content. So if you click into lessons 1 through 5, you're going to see a section here with several parts that says before the lessons. So we're going to briefly go through each of these parts. What you want to do is take about a half day and go through these before the lesson sections a week or two before you plan on starting Ebly with your students, whether it's before the school year or just before you're going to start if it's mid-year or end of year. So to get into this part, you're going to click the square to the left of it. Be sure with this little arrow that you click it over because that'll allow you to navigate. That's pretty important. And it's going to give you some directions. Down here on the right is where you navigate next and back to get to the next page or the page before. These little squares right here, this button, if you click it, will pull up the documents. So you can click them to download them. Or if you ordered a binder, you'll already have them in a binder. So you're going to watch your video, go to the next page. Here's another video, you'll watch it, and then you'll go to the next page, and so on. And every once in a while there will be some directions. So for example, this one says have a paper and pencil ready for the next video. You can also follow along with the following document. Click the button in the bottom right to access. So this one is the theory and background. So I'm going to pull that one up as I watch the next video. So these videos go along with those PowerPoint documents so that you can have something to watch. And they're critically important, these introduction and theory videos, because they really talk about the why you're doing what you're doing, why we do things differently with Ebly, what we don't teach and what we teach instead, those kind of things. So it's really important because Ebly can be a paradigm shift that you come in here and watch these videos. So once you get all the way, I'm just kind of going through them quickly. Once you get all the way to the end, into 21 here, in the bottom right, once you make it through that and have watched them all, there's a really important things to remember section too, so be sure and read through those. You can X out. And it's going to show you your progress bar. So it's going to show you that you made it all the way through those pages. Now, of course, I didn't watch the videos, so be sure and watch the videos as you're going through. But that way you'll be able to keep track of where you were and where you're going to next. The assessment piece has a couple, and again, I'm going to click my little arrow, a couple of formative assessments to do before you begin Ebly instruction to just kind of let you know you'll do it beginning, mid, end of year to kind of see how is my instruction going, how are my students doing with their sounds, how are they doing with writing instruction. So there's some videos and some directions there, so go ahead and be sure you do the assessment. We'll close out that. The next piece has items, resources, videos, and documents that you can share with parents. So we recommend sending out an email that's got these documents and the links to the videos and the links to the information about our apps. And do familiarize yourself with those resources as well. There's some powerful, good stuff to share with the parents. This part 4 has add data here. Now this is a little different than the assessment we talked about before. Whatever assessments your school is doing, your school has signed a contract for you to go through the ETSL, for you to share your test score, your student test score data with us. So the way you're going to do it is you're going to download this little student data document, and then you're going to watch this video that tells you how you're going to go through and add in your test scores. So again, beginning, mid, and end of your test scores for whatever you're doing school-wide, across the classrooms, across the grade levels. So that's the data entry. This part 5 talks about materials, so whether you need to, if you have trade books already, you're in great shape, you're going to use your own content, but if you need to order some, it's got a link that tells you our favorite trade books. And then the materials, the students will need whiteboards, markers, and dry erasers. And then if you haven't already ordered a binder, there will be a table of contents and a cover that you can print out, put in your own binder, and then print your materials as you go. The community section, this talks about where you can go in your discussion board and where you can go on Facebook to connect with others who are going through the ETSL in your grade level right now, others who are familiar with EBLI, and others who are actually on the ETSL currently. So this is the Facebook page, and then it gives you some directions down here on the discussion board. So go ahead and read through that and what each of these communities is for, because as we know, community is so important to kind of keep you motivated and keep you on this track together since it's self-led. All right, so once you get through that before the lesson section, and of course you can always go back and look at any of the previous parts too, so that's what's kind of nice about that. You're going to scroll down to the lessons. So what you can see here is this is lesson 1A and lesson 1B. So each lesson has an A and a B, 2 different activities, and each activity has a teacher learning section and they have a student learning section. So the first part is just for you to go through. These are resources for you and you alone, and the second part is resources for you to show and share with your students. So let's start with the teacher learning and review. The first thing, actually you're going to have a few extra things in this one, some important notes because you're just getting started for the first time. But typically the first thing that you're going to see when you come into a teacher learning section is an overview video. So this is a video of Nora teaching the activity to a class so that you can see what it looks like in a normal classroom at your grade level. Then you're going to get a couple of different documents here. So again, you're going to click the document button in the bottom right. The steps document tells you exactly, step by step, exactly what you're going to do. If you're saying anything out of your mouth when you teach this activity, it's highlighted for you and bolded. So that's the steps document. The helpful hints document is going to tell you why you're doing what you're doing. It's kind of set up with a question and answer, so it'll tell you the essential components of literacy that we're teaching, the purpose, what it explicitly teaches, and when will I use it, and then why do I play the point game? There's a few points here on why you do that. Why do I redirect the student if they state the letter name instead of the sound? It's going to tell you why you do that. So really helping you to understand the reasoning behind the way the EBLI and these activities are taught. That's this document right here. Also, these documents will go along with a training video where you can see and practice the steps and the helpful hints. Finally, it's going to give you a little helpful hint to remember to say the sounds, not the letter names, things that teachers often need some reminders and need some repetition to remember how to do things a little bit differently than they're maybe used to doing in the past. So that's the teacher learning section. So once you get through that, you're going to scroll down and you'll see your progress to see where you left off. Now you're going to go into the student learning section. Student learning section is going to start with some directions. It's going to tell you what materials each of your student needs and a few important things to remember as you are showing the student lesson video. Now, this first lesson I think has an introductory video for the students and then the student lesson video. Now, for the first few times that you teach a lesson and for really the first few weeks, Nora is going to be teaching for you and you're actually going to be facilitating. So you are going to show this student lesson video in your classroom to your kids as you walk around and help them out with any questions they have and follow the directions that Nora says, like pause the video now, and she may have you as the teacher go in and do a few things. So we do recommend, if you can, watching this video before you show it to your students, especially the first few times, so you can kind of become familiar with the videos. So go ahead and show it to them, and then you will be on to the second half of your lesson. which is sound lines. And again, we'll just briefly look at the teacher learning part because they're pretty similar. Again, the sound lines is going to start with a overview video, Nora teaching sound lines in a classroom. You're going to have your steps and your helpful hints documents. You're going to have a training video and a helpful hint to help you remember when you go to teach it to your kids, or show the video to your kids, I should say, to your students. Then you're going to go to the student learning section, and it's going to tell you what materials your students need, important things to remember, and here's your student lesson video. We do ask that in part 4, so at the end of every single lesson, you're going to give us your feedback. That's another thing that your schools agreed to in a contract, is that you would just let us know your grade level, so your 2nd grade, and then choose the lesson that you're on, lesson 1, and just let us know any questions, suggestions, feedback, features you appreciated. So this does not have to be like a long drawn out thing. You can just let us know, oh, the kids like this one. Hey, you know what? This video went too fast, or I would set up the lesson in a different way, or there was too much information, or there was not enough information, or whatever you would think would be helpful for other 2nd grade teachers learning this. We really value your feedback. So go ahead and fill that out briefly at the end of each lesson. So that's your feedback form. And then just a few words about how to do the pacing. So your lessons, 1 activity and a 2nd activity, 2 activities are meant to be taught in a day. Now, when you first are getting started, you may only teach 1 activity, so half of a lesson in a day. And then by the time you're 2 to 3 weeks in, you may be teaching 3 activities or a lesson and a half. So because your kids and you are going to be getting faster at this. So do have some flexibility there, just wherever you leave off, pick up and be good with the fact you may be slower at first, and then once you get faster and your kids get faster, you can go ahead and just add in more. Don't skip anything, just be sure and go in order because the lessons do build on themselves. Another thing is these teacher learning and review sections where it's just you watching the videos and you looking at the resources. You can do, 2, 3, 4 of those sections at one time at the beginning of the week or during your planning session so that you are ready to go and know what you're gonna need for when you go to teach it to your students. So do find whatever system kind of works for you, and be sure and be flexible and give yourself permission to be a learner as well as a teacher with this, because that's the whole point of the ETSL. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy going through the ETSL and that the students tend to really love the student videos. One final note is on the discussion board. I just want to show you that we're still in lessons 1 through 5 here. So if you click on that discussion right over here and these 3 little dots, that's where you can go in and add any questions that you have on these lessons, and then you can type it in and post. And if other people have posted in here, you can go in and respond and ask other questions and that kind of thing. Now, once you're through the first 5 lessons, if I click to content, it'll bring me back to content. Once you're through all the way through those first 5, you're going to come back to My Learning, and then you'll be able to go into lessons 6 through 10. So you can just go back to My Learning. Is always going to bring you back to kind of your main menu, and then when you click into each group of 5 lessons, that's what you're going to see in there. If you ever need anything at all or have questions, we do ask that you email info@ebley.com, and be sure and reach out if you need anything. Thank you so much.